Hello and welcome to the Baldwin Public Library Board meeting on Monday, April 15th at 7:30 in the law school room. The full board packet is available online at www.baldwinlive.org on the Friday preceding the meeting. This is an open meeting. All members of the public are invited to attend. Robert, would you please call the roll for tonight's meeting?
Karen Rock.
Here.
Danielle Ruppel.
Here.
Misty Mark.
Here.
Wendy Friedman.
Here.
Frank Paisano. Here. Jenny Wheeler.
Here.
And also with us, is Student Representative Kate Walter.
Thank you, Robert. Now we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Missy. Was this the library's mission statement?
Yes, thank you. The Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham, Michigan enriches lives by providing opportunities and resources for everyone to learn, connect, and discover.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the general public comment period. The library board values public views and welcomes your comments on library issues, but will not debate items not on the agenda. The board respectfully asks that comments be made as concisely as possible when a motion has been made or in the general public comment portion of the meeting. The maximum time for individual speakers should not exceed 3 minutes. Does anyone have a comment? Our next order of business is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one approved by a roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered as the last item under new business. Approval of March 18th, 2024 board minutes, meeting minutes on page 7. Approval of March 2024 vendor payments in the amount of $322,386.98, including payments in excess of $75,000, shown on page 10, and approval of total expenses in the amount of $564,194.47 on page 15. Is there any board member who wants to remove it from the consent agenda? Is there any member of the public who wants to remove an item from the consent agenda? Would anyone like to move to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Robert, could you conduct a roll call vote?
Rock.
Yes.
Rumpel.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Friedman.
Yes.
Paisano.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
All yeas.
Next are board reports and special announcements. President's report. I just have 2 items. One is to thank you to Friends member Deb Mulhatteram for her volunteer work as book sales chair for Friends of BPL for 10 years. And 2, it was good that the 14 BPL staff members were able to attend some recent library related conferences, and 2 of them received grants to attend. And I thought it was enlightening to read the comments in the board packet of the staff who did attend the conferences. I thought their comments were very worthwhile.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any board comments from anybody else? Jenny?
I just wanted to thank Baldwin for having the hotspots available to the community. We checked one out on our way down to Florida, and the kids were able to do their iReady lessons while we drove down. And then just yesterday, BCS was able to use one at our fundraiser for accepting credit card payments. Because our school's like a vortex where like cell phone Wi-Fi doesn't work, so we were able to actually get that working for our event yesterday.
That's good to know.
Danielle?
Well, I just wanted to kind of reiterate what you said, Karen, and
Give a special thanks to the Library of Michigan for offering those continuing education stipends. That was really great. And just thank you to the staff for taking their time to go to all of those conferences. I think that it says a lot to continue and to better yourself and bring back all that education that you take away from those. I love it. Thank you for doing that.
Anyone else? And Danielle, could you please read the staff anniversaries on page 38?
Sure. We would like to celebrate Elaine Asher, Adult Services Substitute Librarian. She completes 5 years of service on April 7th. Cameron Crawford, Circulation Substitute, will reach 9 years of service on April 21st. Carrie Fritz, Circulation Supervisor 1 reached 15 years of service on April 13th. Bob Glenn, Operations Assistant, will reach 12 years of service on April 23rd. Rosemary Isbell, Youth Librarian 2, will reach 6 years of service on April 29th. George Kasparian, Aid Technical Services Assistant, reached 28 years of service on April 15th. And Hannah Stola, Substitute Librarian, reached 2 years of service on April 3rd. Thank you so much for all you do here at Baldwin.
Thanks, Danielle. And Jacqueline, could you please tell us about upcoming events?
I sure can. We're gonna go to page 84, but you'll have a bonus sheet on your, we liked our last month's event so much, we put them in a second time. So now you have a bonus sheet of this month. So we're gonna start with, next Monday, we're celebrating Poetry Month with a night of poetry with Jimmy Noon. He is currently hosting the Ann Arbor Poetry Slam, which is the second longest running tenured poetry slam in the world. So register for that if you'd like to join us for that one. On Wednesday, April 24th, the Idea Lab is hosting an event on building an automaton. Thursday, the 25th, we're doing book nooks with the teens. A book nook is a narrow box that fits on the bookshelf in between your other books. So it's like a little bigger than a spine, but it's decorative and very cool, and they can decorate them to go with whatever kind of book they like to read. So that'll be exciting. On the 27th, Bart is teaching people how to create photo books from all of your digital photos. On the 29th, we're inviting all of our junior builders to join in the fun of building with Legos, and this time there'll be a challenge to build a spaceship. So we're looking forward to seeing what they create for those. On the 29th of April, we're doing DIY Mason bee houses. We have been seeing a really great turnout for our DIY crafting program. So it will be exciting to see what they create on the 29th with the supplies to do the bee houses. And we all know how important these are, so that's great. Saturday, May 4th, is gonna be a big day around here. It's a very exciting Saturday. We are doing free comic book day, which is a national effort. You'll be able to come in and take a complimentary comic book of your choosing. But this year, it also happens to coincide with Star Wars Day, May the 4th. So we'll be doing Star Wars activities as well in Graham's Discovery Room. That's a drop-in program for kids. And on top of that, the Friends will be hosting their book sale. So it's gonna be a great day at BPL. With so many visitors, and everyone's gonna have a great time. So stop by. It's gonna be an exciting Saturday. On May 6th, we're doing Into No Man's Land, an evening with Holocaust survivor Irene Miller. This presentation receives just amazing feedback when she presents all over the county. So if you have an opportunity to attend, I would encourage you to do so. On Thursday, the 9th, we're doing No Bake Kid recipes. They're gonna be making banana split pudding cups. See if there's leftovers. The genealogy series continues on May 9th with exploring vital records. On Tuesday, May 14th, we'll be hosting the Friends of the Baldwin Public Library annual meeting, and that'll be in the Jean Lloyd Room. And wrapping up before our next meeting, the next in the college info series, how to write a great college essay. So it's gonna be another great month here, and we hope that you'll join us for some of this.
Have you heard Irene Miller?
I have not.
I have. I
Okay.
heard her within the past month, and she is really good.
Okay. Yeah, we hear nothing but great feedback about the
Pretty
presentation, so.
Right, thank you. Now board committee reports, finance committee is first, Danielle on page 14.
Great, the Baldwin Public Library Board of Finance Committee met on Monday, April 8th at 4 o'clock in the boardroom. President Rick Pagano, myself, Rebecca Kraft, and Jeff Miller. We have no public comments. Rebecca shared the fiscal year 23-24 budget report after 9 months. Around $16,000 in grants revenue will be coming in the next month from the Library Michigan Education stipends. Patron use revenue is higher than expected. Supplies, contracted services, and technology and maintenance are nearing the budget maximum for the year. And building improvement will need a budget amendment in June. Construction budget wise, we anticipate receiving $19,210 back from unspent engineering fees. FFE should be under budget by about $20,000. And due to new wiring, we will see an expense for the additional sorter work. Jacqueline shared the March 2024 Friends of the Library expenditures. And Rebecca will present the library's fiscal year 24-25 budget at the city budget hearing on April 27th. Frank reported on the city's retirement board meeting he attended, and our next meeting for the finance committee will be held on Monday, May 7th at 2:30.
I have a question. The 16,000 in grants revenue, is that average, above, below what we usually get?
It's way above. I think in the past, we've gotten 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah, how come we got so much?
Our new policy, probably thanks to Jacqueline, is that everyone who goes to a conference has to apply for the grants.
Oh, good.
And first timers, who we had a lot of this year,
Yeah,
are very lucky at getting those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they prioritize first time conference attendees, so,
so 16,000, I mean, that was.
yeah,
Wow.
it's great. So
Yeah.
it covers really the cost of the hotel, the food,
The bus driver?
yeah, the
The bus
transportation, yeah, the bus
Well,
driver.
the-
and-
Jackson was the bus driver. Oh,
No speeding ticket.
No. Ohio's tough.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for suggesting that. That's great.
And next is, the building committee. It's on page 17.
Yes, we had 2 building committee reports. On Monday, March 25th, we went over some things, but then went into more detail on the next building committee on April 8th. We met at 3 o'clock here in the Deloitte boardroom. With Missy Mark, Rebecca Kraft, and Jacqueline Miller, and myself were in attendance. There was one resident for public comment. He expressed some concerns about the building addition and renovation. We went over phase 3 update, budget update. The sorter installer will need to come back later this month to complete the work. So there will be an additional charge for getting them out here, and then a wiring and installation fees that was a little unexpected. Stairs, we anticipate, as everybody knows, or the board knows, but we've had an issue with the stairs under phase 3, and unfortunately, they have to be torn out, and we're gonna see a delay of 8 to 9 weeks to re-pour them and get everything situated. It's just really a safety issue, and it's unfortunate. But I'm glad that we have our building, chief building inspector and, assistant building director really looking out for the best public and patrons' safety, and it need to be done. And fortunately for us, this is not gonna cost the library anything. The contractor, PCI Daily is, and the contract, or the cement individuals will be replacing it, free of charge to us. And also MCD, our architect, all the design for the new stairs would be free also. So this is very unfortunate. Everybody feels bad about it, but we want to bring the best product to the library, to our patrons. And also, I think Rebecca drove this with this project, is safety is our main concern. And that's the main thing, and so that's what's gonna happen. So we're gonna see a little bit of a delay with that, but when we're open and ready, we're gonna be safe for our public, and it's gonna be fantastic. So there will be no charge to the existing white spindle glass due to the 8,000 cost replacement. That's the glass overlooking the patio where the nano wall is. We just feel it looks fine, and once the trees grow in and the umbrellas are up, and if you look at the south side of the building too, there's a white band, and that's, really the blinds that come down. So it almost matches if you go out from the south to the east, looks like it mimics one another. So I think it's a good balance for now. Furniture will be arriving April 9th and will be stored in the addition on the new terrace.
No, it's here.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's already out there. I saw somebody sitting there on their computer today overlooking Shane Park. The patio, or what do we call it, the courtyard or?
Terrace.
The terrace. The terrace is now open for the public to use. We're gonna have our umbrellas up, the tables are out, and it's gonna be a great gathering space. And they put the landscaping in on Friday.
Yeah, looks
Looks
awesome.
phenomenal. So I hope everybody enjoys that.
Yeah.
We have changed the open house that was scheduled for May 18th to September 15th. So so we'll get a lot of news out on that. We expect a big attendance and hopefully a lot of people attend. It's gonna be a great day to celebrate the new phase 3. We did paint the first floor restrooms back at the end of March. The Friends book sale room was painted and carpeted during the first week of April. The staff lounge will be repainted soon, and I guess that was a direction from the staff that picked the colors and what they wanted, so that's gonna be exciting to see what they chose.
They got money from Doug Koshik.
Doug Koshik, our past director, has a building fund, and that part of it, what he's donating is for the employees,
Yeah,
so
so that's pretty cool.
very awesome,
And credit card reward points too.
yeah.
And credit card,
That's
yes,
good.
yeah. We go everywhere for that.
Yeah. Everybody picks their card with what their destinations are, it seems like, so it's good. The Robert and Rebecca will work together, to refresh the southwest garden and the garden adjacent to the front terrace prior to the spring, using grant money from the Bloomfield Hills Garden Club. Thank you, Missy. Staff will work on the, with LDA, library design to redesign shelving layout layout and ISCG to purchase furniture for the relocated teen scene space. Now, this space will probably come after the stairs are implemented, just because there's gonna be shelving moved in and there's a temporary wall. So expect that to happen probably in 10 weeks from now. Our bird glass film, our test panel will be installed after the window washing in May. So we look for the bird glass, the bird glass film to go on sometime in May or maybe early June. So we'll have a test period for that, 12 to 18 months to see how durable it is, and then implement it throughout the building without the glass, except the adult service area. I don't think we have that allocated. Or do we? Would we do bird safe glass on all the windows? Or the youth room and in phase 3, big glass, right?
Right.
Paisano notes that the bronze frame surrounding the spandrel glass above the new ramp needs attention. If you look at where our mural is gonna go of the Rouge River,
Oh, yeah.
and you look at that metal, that was outside and it's very beaten up. It's, it just looks like it could be refreshed. It's something maybe we want to address later on. Just for the years of abuse since 1980, it's been out in the open elements. It looks fine, but when we spend this amount of money, maybe it might be something to look into to refreshen up those bands so they look as crisp and nice as the new phase 3 edition. It's just a food for thought.
When does the mural go in, by the way?
Mid-May.
Mid-May.
The next building committee will be held on Monday, May 20th at 1 o'clock in this boardroom, and we do encourage public to attend. Any questions on building report? All right.
Can we ask that question right here?
No. Oh, we wait.
Public comments at the beginning.
Oh, public comments at the beginning.
Well, not now. I think the answer is not now.
Public comment was at the beginning of the meeting, yeah.
Maybe whatever comment you might have, just please email it to Rebecca.
It's just a question about what you said. That was kind of noisy.
I think the bird safe glass is gonna go on phase 2 and phase 3 of the building if we do implement the bird safe glass after the test period.
I guess you're saying the sample's gonna go on to, and
The sample, I believe, is going on the youth room, on the south, north glass panel, I think. I'm not really sure, but I think it's going on, I think it's going definitely on the phase 2 or the children's room for the test.
okay,
For,
you didn't say which side.
I don't know if that's determined yet, but,
Maybe
if I have an answer, I will get back to you on
you could
that.
ask Rebecca in an email. Maybe you could call Rebecca or ask her in an email.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
And next is the outreach committee. Missy, could you?
Yes. The outreach committee met on Tuesday, April 9th at 1 o'clock in the Jean Lloyd Room. Present were Wendy Friedman, Melissa Mark, Rebecca Kraft, and Jacqueline Miller. Public comment, there was none. Old business, the outreach giveaway samples review. Jacqueline brought a number of different items, and we ended up liking the magnifier, which is very handy. A little thing like this, like a credit card that you can make everything readable, so it's awesome. And then, but we didn't like the pen, and the magnetic bookmarker was kind of flimsy. Miller will investigate the possibility of print-on-demand wearable merchandise with the BPL logo. That's like, instead of our getting into that whole business, you can click on our website and go and decide if you want a hat, a shirt, or whatever, and how you want to do it. So we're gonna look into that a little bit more carefully, see if we want to go into that that venue. Let's see, Miller, follow-ups with local organizations. Wendy met with the staff at the BBAC and the Townsend Hotel to see if any partnership opportunities will arise. Further meetings with both organizations are on the horizon. She also contacted the Secretary of State office to request a visit from them at the library. We've reviewed the document to submit to the Birmingham Shopping District, which you may know, they are in the midst of hiring a new director there, so we have time before they get the new person in place. Miller will work on developing, we decided on 2 separate pieces to promote the library with input that will be coming from Wendy and myself to submit to them for their giveaways to business owners and other patrons. Reminder, May 19th is the Birmingham Parade. Everybody, if you don't, we have shirts available, ready to go. Hope you're coming. Rain or shine, right?
Mhm.
Rain or
It is rain
shine.
or shine. You have not missed an email yet. I have those ready to go at the end of the week. See if you want to participate, so don't panic. And we'll get t-shirts ordered for anyone who needs one still.
I don't think I'll be able to carry Ranger this year. It's a little bigger.
I don't think so.
Let's see, new business. Birmingham YMCA annual Make Every Day Better breakfast was held on the 12th. I believe Rebecca went to that. A Healthy Kids Day at the Y is coming up April 20th. The Idea Lab BPS STEAM Nights, one was held, I believe, at Corton School on April 5th. The next one is April 19th. I'm not sure which school, but Harlan, that's right. Oakland County Health has reached out to us. They are sending literature and they would like to participate in any resource fairs here. They will be contracted for the April 25 event that we are in the planning stages of. Also, Beverly Hills Memorial Day Parade is May 27th, a Monday, May 27th. A wonderful day. It's my anniversary, so I'm showing. So that's at 11, and you probably need to know who's coming for that,
And
right?
we'll also put that in an email at the end of the week.
Okay. And Jacqueline will also contact DPS to see about participating in their May 11 open house. The city of Birmingham is hosting events for Take Your Child to Work Day. The library is a stop on the itinerary. And the next meeting for the outreach committee will be on May 14th at 1 o'clock. Does anybody have questions?
I do. I'm
Yeah.
just curious,
Yeah.
Secretary of State,
Yeah.
so what would the Secretary of State do at the library?
Well, she probably would want to talk about all the changes in the voting, with an election coming up, but yeah, it's not up to me. It would be up to all of us to, she's raised enough.
So the idea that it would be some kind of presentation that,
Probably would do a maybe presentation, just to talk about, her speaking of other clubs, and she's very informative. She speaks wonderfully. She's very friendly, to people.
I'm curious what you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a particular thing in mind. I'd like to hear from her, but I'm guessing that it would be, there's just been so many changes, and with, the presidential election coming, up, voting is so important, so probably it would be along the lines of how easy it is to vote. But let's see if she said yes and when.
And the next, committee is policy, and Jenny will talk about that.
Yeah.
Things 118 to 121.
So, there are, changes to the Idea Lab user agreement that are found in red. And it is updating things that, we would prefer not to be made here. And, they are listed bulleted here, on page 118. And then, there's also in red changes on page 119 of, media, things that we preferred not to be here. Does anybody have any questions on the changes in red? I would like to make a motion to adopt the proposed changes to the Idea Lab user agreement found on pages 118 to 120.
Any board comments?
Do we need a roll call or just all?
We can do a voice vote.
All in favor?
Okay.
And next up is a library report, by Rebecca. Jacqueline.
Yes, we're gonna start on page 22 of the library report. It is the time for the quarterly update on the statistical dashboard. And I hate to admit it, but this one got the better of me a couple of times this month. So, in the columns, we're actually looking at the Q3 target at the top. And, I was looking at the attendance line, and I was looking at the wrong columns when I wrote my statement, but we'll get into that. So we like to review this in a little bit more detail quarterly for you. This is the month to do that. The good news is a lot of things are tracking as they're supposed to be, which is great news. Financials are tracking as expected. Our circulation is up slightly compared to this month last year, and it remains on target and is up on the fiscal year, which is great news. Database sessions are higher than our goal and higher than last year. We do work actively to promote database usage, and it seems to be paying off, which is great. Credit to a couple of our youth librarians who are also creating quick videos that we're sharing on social media. We are seeing absolutely a spike in usage for those when those get posted online. So that was a great idea on their part, and it's helping drive people to those resources, which is good. This time they did it to a web page full of resources, so we'll see what happens. Downloadable content is up, and our Wi-Fi sessions are still, the counts are still lower than last year, but we got all new equipment to count Wi-Fi, so I'm still not sure that we're comparing apples to apples for right now, so we'll adjust those as necessary. Program attendance was down in the month, but not the quarter. That's where I messed it up. So,
kept
and we
reading that.
do expect an increase in Q4 with the kickoff of summer reading coming. So, But, you know, our lack of a really large presentation space, we're kind of limited right now to about a max 40 at one time. So, I would guess that primarily has to do with our decline, or not decline, but our lower number this month, but, we're still doing great for the year, so that's good. And then our visitors remain consistent and higher than anticipated despite the construction. Even the last few days, which have been a little bit more, jackhammery than usual, people are still coming in and we're still seeing a lot of visitors on the day, which is great. Our volunteer hours are down just a little bit, but we'll probably see a rebound in that in Q4 as well, as we start prepping for summer. And, our social media, as per usual, fluctuates a little bit along with our newsletter subscribers. We're constantly seeing people come and go from all of those services, so that's nothing I think to be nervous about, but we're gonna see those fluctuations. Yes, good question.
Have you finished? I have a question. Yeah, so, it was a dramatic increase on the visitors. Right? Well, here we are under construction. We got a whole section closed off. And we've gone up, I don't know what the percentage is, but 160,000 versus a goal of 120. Right? So that's like, what, 35% or something?
Word's getting out
Say
about how
yes.
awesome it is in here. I guess. Yeah,
I'm really surprised. I thought attendance would be down with our construction this
Yeah.
year, because it's hard to get in.
It's hard to get in.
Yeah.
it has not deterred anyone.
Yeah, it's great.
We're not gonna lose that ramp
No.
anytime soon, right? No,
Not-
not.
Not until the
Yeah.
new ramp is.
And do we have, I should know this because I'm on the committee, who's gonna put in the sod or whatever for that
Great
area?
Oaks.
Yes, Great Oaks is doing it's, there's a word for it that's escaping me.
Reforestation,
Something along that.
resod, okay.
Yeah.
Great,
Reconstruction,
Reconstruction.
something like that.
I think that attendance is gonna go even higher once phase 3 is open.
yeah,
I took my daughter by the library and showed her the space and she's like, I'm living here next semester. Cause she's moving back home to do her student teaching. So I think it's gonna drive a lot. And I think, you know, the forward thinking of our architects to put those study rooms right into where the Friends book, sale was phenomenal. So I think people are catching on that we have a hot place to visit.
yeah,
Now if you walk through the play area on any given morning, like, people are here making, doing puppet shows and, they're playing games and reading books. It's an exciting,
happening
it's a
place.
happening place, yeah. So, overall, mostly good news on this, so that's great. And we'll keep an eye on the social media and, work on getting those numbers a little bit higher. In the meantime, it's also time for your strategic plan action item update, which you can see, the strategic plan is laid out, starting on page 39. We've done a number of things this time. I'm not gonna read them all to you, but I will highlight just a few, especially things that we've not tried before. Under the strategic goal number 1 for programs and services, one of the things we were hoping to do was to present service to the public. Stephanie Klimek, the head of youth, and also our AIDS coordinator for Battle of the Books, sent a survey to all the battle coaches this year, seeking feedback on the program to make sure that, now that we're back into it for a few years, is there anything they'd like to see, how's it going? So she got feedback, I think, like 60% of the people who she sent it to, which is a great return for a survey. You heard that we've been Jeff and the Idea Lab staff have been attending STEAM night at the elementary schools. Later on in the report, you'll see there's a picture of how many people sat by their table. They're having a great time, so that's good news. Under that same strategic goal, but ensuring that our materials, et cetera, are relevant, available, and welcoming to all abilities and backgrounds, Stephanie started using a visual schedule in her story time. So rather than just say, now it's time to play with the shakers, she has a picture of people using shakers, so she can point to those so kids, they know what's coming next, which is great. That's an exciting development for story times. Flipping down to strategic goal number 3 on page 41. Under prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, we have added some extra focus and attention provided to the 200s in the nonfiction section. And also making sure to include diverse and underrepresented voices as they develop the Baldwin's Best Bets collection. That's gonna be like 100 of our favorites, make for easy browsing of things right in the Grand Hall. But the care and thought that has gone into this collection has been remarkable to watch develop. And we want to make sure that lots of groups are represented among those titles. We learned under the develop and implement training and education plan through a different training that staff need and want to have time to discuss internal library matters with other people who might have had those experiences before or have some skills to share. So we're giving them an opportunity to do that every month to meet. I mean, they can do it anytime they want to in a conversation, but formally, I guess, collectively, there is an opportunity now to meet. If you bring a question, we can, and everyone can talk about solutions and suggestions on working details. So that's a nice opportunity for everyone. You heard, the next one I'm gonna look at is strategic goal number 4, community outreach. You heard that we're planning a nonprofit fair scheduled for April 2025. So we'll be developing that as an opportunity for groups to come in and tell everyone who comes by a little bit about themselves and what they're doing in the community. And if people are seeking assistance, that will be a great time for people to volunteer. So there is more. Yes, you can read it, all of the action items, but that's just some of what's going on as we look for those implementations. Any questions about the things you are reading or we talked about now? Oh, yeah. And no, okay, so we're gonna move on, page 24, programs and services. We had to create an overflow story time. And when I say we, I say the youth services staff have done an amazing thing in that they, on the fly, have decided to add a second simultaneous session to their Wednesday morning story times because we had so many people showing up at 9:30, queuing outside the door for story time tickets that they didn't want to turn people away. And so we can put 40 people into Graham's Discovery Room for the session. And then in the last few weeks, we've had anywhere from 18 to 25 additional people in a second room. So a huge amount of credit to the youth staff. Creating a story time in 5 minutes is not a thing that is easy to do. And fortunately, they're all very good at what they do, but so they are looking at reevaluating the schedule now, especially for Wednesday mornings, to make sure that we're accommodating as many people as possible for that. So
What did we used to accommodate in a story time before Graham's? Do you have any idea how many?
They would, I don't want to go on record saying this if the fire marshal hears me, but they would fit sometimes 40 people in a room half the
But
size.
people were on
it
laps.
was
Yes.
pretty tight.
starting,
Tight.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you, a huge thank you to our youth staff for making this adjustment as quickly as they have. This is Rosemary here with Wordy Birdie. We've ordered a second Wordy Birdie for the other story time because he's one of the draws of the story time session. And they're
That's weird.
evaluating what they can do to make sure that, you know, our Wednesday morning crowd is all getting an opportunity to take part in story time. Moving on to page 25, you heard the first floor restrooms were repainted on the 29th to freshen up the walls. It's a high traffic area and you can see the marks, so those are taken care of now. On Thursday, March 21st, we unfortunately discovered a leaky drain pipe in the Idea Lab storage closet, but super grateful to the plumbing company who were able to get out here within the hour. They replaced a section of plumbing and everything's good now, but
You would never even think to look
not the
for
most
that.
pleasant
There's no water.
discovery,
Jeff went to grab something off the shelf.
the top shelf.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's, but it's fixed now and it should hold now for a while. And we had, some tabletop outlets in our original study rooms, which are now numbers 5 through 7 over in the Burkitts area. But they were like sunken into the tabletop and we have discovered that spills and trash were ruining the outlets and all of the ports. So those were replaced with pop-up inserts last week. So you can see on the right, they're flat and flush with the tabletop, but they're spring loaded. So if you press down, they pop up. So hopefully things won't puddle in there.
Yeah.
Water and coffee won't puddle in the outlets, ruining them, and we won't have to replace them quite so often. And that is it for me.
Yeah, our idea task force continues to meet. We've come up with a new plan that we'll be implementing for staff development day, which will be DEI training, using our Dean stack. So you'll get, staff will get badges for different modules that they take. And then they can pick and choose the ones that they want to do. So we'll provide lots of options and then staff can pick which ones will benefit them the most. And that will be done, as part of our strategic plan too. And then Project Ready is, going to be discussing, building relationships with individuals at their, meeting this Wednesday. Going on to community outreach and partnerships. In addition to the book clubs that Jacqueline and I host there, I'm going to be doing a special discussion on Wednesday, May 1st. To discuss Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. And that's a part of their 4-month focus on Native Americans. So that's, anyone can attend that one. And then we've got a picture of Jeff at the Portland Steam Night. He took the Idea Lab on the road with a grant from the Michigan Architectural Foundation. And so about 500 people attended the event. He had 3D printers set up, and then he had 3D pens that kids can use to make things. So that was great to see. And then going on to page 29, the personnel and organization. So you've mentioned the conferences that everyone attended, but Jamie Richards, head of IT, and Bart Joya, our technology trainer, attended Computers and Libraries in Arlington, Virginia. And highlights of that, Jamie liked the public libraries and ransomware. That's a thing that's been going around in public libraries. It took down the Toronto Public Library for about 3 months. So they were collecting returned items and they couldn't do anything with them because their catalog was offline. And then it also affected the Orion Township Public Library. Their site went down. They chose not to pay the ransom fee, and then 2 weeks later it went down again. So they've been rebuilding their website from scratch since then. So it's just something to keep an eye on. And then there was talk of AI at that conference. And so Bart mentioned the ethical considerations and challenges associated with the integration of AI in libraries, and then the need for transparency when you're using AI in libraries. And then 3 of our staff members attended the Innovative Users Group. My personal preference was when it was the Polaris Users Group because it was PUG. That was in March. And so Brandon Bolitivo, Cameron Crawford, and Kristen Tate all attended that. Cameron said his favorite session was on shadow libraries, which are libraries that don't operate on the up and up, but you can get lots of free items through them, and how they show major flaws in public and private library systems. All 3 of the staff members are excited to learn more about the programming language SQL. And then Brandon and Kristen were looking at the LEAP online access catalog. That's what our staff is using. We have 2 modules that we can get to our staff catalog on. One of them looks like the old Windows style, like Windows 95 module, and then one is an online web module, which has been great. We've been using it since before COVID. So if you're home, you can use the catalog at home through the website, the staff catalog. And then Polaris has a new product called Vega coming out. A couple libraries have it already. It's not quite ready for prime time, we don't think. So we'll be looking at getting that in a couple of years when they have more features available. And then I didn't go to PLA, but I will present on the PLA conference. The Baldwin Library staff love of puns is my favorite. So they loaded up a 15-passenger Columbus bus to get to Ohio. Jacqueline drove it safely, no accidents, no speeding tickets. But 9 staff members went, and 8 of them received $1,600 grants. And it was the first national conference for 8 out of 9 staff members. So Jacqueline got to share lots of tips and tricks for the conference. And I'll just go through each staff member's highlights. So Josh, our youth services librarian, likes to read romance, Fight the Patriarchy. And he is looking maybe to start a romance book club here at the library. And Cameron Crawford liked the reclassifying Deweys. So this is a plan to better represent religious traditions. So basically, the 200s is all for religions, and the 200s through the 280s is all for Christian religions, and then the 290s is all for other world religions. So it would even them out, and then show which holes we have, like which religious groups we don't represent. Ethan really liked the welcoming everyone session, which was focusing on making buildings, workforce, services, and collections open and inviting to all. And then he attended a session on 2 staff members from the Ferndale Area District Library on respecting and supporting trans and gender nonconforming staff and patrons. Jen Hassel, 2 things that she mentioned. One of the opening speaker was Shola Richards, and he talked about if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I thought just highlighting the value of teamwork. And then a couple of things she mentioned are book resumes, and I believe the American Library Association is putting these out. But basically, it's a 1-page PDF document. So if someone wants to challenge one of the books that we have, it's most likely going to have a resume, which will help staff talk about the value of the book for those challenges. And then I thought that Missy would like this one from the Cuyahoga County Public Library, community collections that are very specific to the area. So they have nursing test prep titles in the hospital, book club titles at the senior center, and so on and so forth. Suzanne liked the session on community library aid with social services partnerships. So there were lots of sessions on how to apply for government benefits, get help with addictions, receive free legal aid. So that's a lot of helpful information that can help our community. And then Haley May, our intern, she liked the presentation on how to create a true crime podcast club. They're super common, and it's a great way to have a discussion group. And then Jacqueline highlighted the session on programming for people living with dementia, and then also a session on AI tools being used in a variety of ways. And then Vicky liked the Reader's Advisory Kiosk, and I liked her reason for that. We a lot of times get people coming into the library and they run up to the desk and they say, I only have 5 minutes on my parking meter. And that just sends me personally into like a spiral, like, how am I gonna get all this out in 5 minutes? So there's like a kiosk that can provide easy book suggestions for patrons. So that's just kind of a fun thing.
So are we gonna do that, or that's just
That was a thing that she saw that
yeah, I think that's
would
pretty
work
cool.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
would work here.
mark
So.
that.
And then Stuart liked the diversifying your display and book list, how you can make this better use of our displays to make them welcoming to every member in our community. And we've got a group photo shot here. And then I will go.
I just want to comment, like Ethan said, it was a good experience to spend time with my colleagues
Yeah.
outside of the library.
Yeah, right.
And I think when all our employees go out to these conferences, either Detroit or whatnot, it's the camaraderie of being out of the office and getting to know each other at a much better level and having fun. So it's fun to bring other great ideas to the library, but I think it strengthens the employees to get to know each other better and have fun outside the environment. So I think Ethan hit the nail on the head there. And I think that's important for team building.
Great. And then going on to page 38, we held an all-staff meeting on the 26th of March, and we've got another one coming up next Tuesday, April 23rd. And we do record those and send those to all staff afterwards. And we have 2 new pages this month, Zoe Lusk and Mia Gusho. So there'll be new shelvers working on the weekends here with us. And then we're welcoming back 4 college students for the summer, Megan Gusho, Emma Moskovitz, Sam Hollow, and Faith Whitted. So we'll be glad to have them back. And then I'll be at the city budget hearing on April 27th.
So they were here before and they've come back and they're coming back?
Yeah, they graduated high school and worked last summer, now they're coming back for another summer.
I have a question. I love this, the other thing I liked in this was the computers, library of things that showed all the different things. How is it going? What's the status of I know we were gonna wait, are we still gonna wait till, opening for?
We, our goal was to open it and
I
to
know.
debut it on the
Yeah.
open house day, but I don't want it to sit around all summer. So,
Especially if they're, you
Yeah,
know, grass
so-
clippers and stuff.
right, I don't know what the new date is, but we'll try to get it out for summer reading.
Is there, maybe there's is there a place for it with every?
There will be a place.
Or just a list, so people.
And a
can
list,
see
yeah.
who's gonna be a dominant.
Yeah, we have to move one thing.
Rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, so it's gonna be one of those.
Okay. Thank you.
But yes.
Thank you very much. Next is liaison reports, Cindy.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for cleaning our room up, and we have new carpet and fresh paint. It looks so clean. Thanks to Jacqueline and Rebecca for putting our shelves on wheels, and that will make it so much easier to prep for our book sale, because instead of schlepping boxes of books, we will be able to roll carts of books around, and it'll be much, much easier. We have had 2 fourth Saturday sales. The first one was in February, we made around $1,100. The second one was in March, we made just under $800, and we were selling everything for $1 at that sale. That was the format. So, and it was a snowy day. It was that Saturday in March where I was in Palm Springs. I am told it was very snowy here. And so I thought that was great. The anecdotal response we're getting to these monthly sales is very good. So that's great. It will be interesting when we have our big spring sale this first weekend in May, to see what people think, because we won't have as much inventory as what people are used to at the big spring sale. I mean, we'll have plenty of things for folks, but it's not gonna be like book stock where there's, you know. So it'll be interesting to see what people say about that. We are cutting that sale down to 3 days from 4. So Friday night, the 3rd will be for Friends members only. Saturday, 4th will be normal, and Sunday the 5th will be $5 bag day. So we eliminated the half price day. So we'll see how it goes. As was mentioned, we have our annual meeting on Tuesday, May 14th at 7 p.m. in Jean Lloyd Room. I hope as many of the board members can come and the public can come. We have to have 15 people to have a quorum. So that's always the struggle. Can we get to 15? So hopefully we will. And normally someone from the board speaks briefly. Usually I think it was Jenny last year. So Karen, if you can come, let me know. And if you can't, maybe somebody else can come. I mean, it's like 2 minutes remarks. It's not a big deal. So we have one board member, one very long time Friends board member who is stepping away from the board, Pam DeLeese. Sure, all of you know her. She is going to still volunteer with the Friends, but she is not going to be on the board anymore. So she's been our secretary most recently, but she's a past president of the Friends board. She's been involved with the Friends for many, many years, so we will definitely miss her. And then Deb Mohadaram she has been book sale chair for over 10 years. She has decided to step away from that role. I believe she is going to stay on the board. She has another year of eligibility left. And Michelle Hollow has graciously stepped up and is assuming the book sale chairman position. And she is gonna be fantastic. She has a lot of energy. She has a lot of new ideas. So, we're very lucky that, that we have her willing to do that. And I think that's.
I have a question. So when you're the book sale chair now, you know, instead of semi-annual, is that person in charge for these other Saturdays?
Fourth Saturday sales, yes.
Yes, and they're not every month, but they're.
No, they're most months. So for example, we didn't have one in April because book stock, and we're getting ready for
Right,
the May sale. Yeah.
And so you probably won't have one in May then? Because you have the. big-
No, we'll
big
have,
thing.
yeah,
So will you start again in June then?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is anybody here from Beverly Hills? Okay, and Bloomfield Hills. Cleveland Farms, Kathy Mishipian.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. It's good to see you all again. I have a couple of thoughts, as I listen, and I'm always intrigued by the quality and the number of events that you have for the community. I mean, you do an amazing job. And I think so many of these events are the best kept secret from residents in Cleveland Farms. I don't know what is the participation of, are you able to track when somebody comes in and takes a book out, what community they're from?
Yes, we can track the checkouts of materials. And so we usually provide the village manager with a list of number of card holders and number of materials checked out.
You do,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we don't track program participation because we don't require you to live in our service area. So we don't track that, but definitely the user, the checkout stats we can supply.
well, I can get that from Ken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And because what I'd like to do is I've made some notes, and we have our board meeting next Monday. And I'll be going in Thursday or Friday of this week to meet with him on some agenda items. And ask him about, including right on our webpage, library activities. That's better than doing our newsletter. The newsletter comes out 4 times a year. So, you know, we have to plan ahead, get it into the next meeting, newsletter, and in all honesty, I don't know how many residents are even referring to it. It was 2 pages long, where it used to be like 8. So I think people are not even bothering to look at it anymore, which is sad, because there's so many activities between Next and the library for seniors and families that, we have to start encouraging them. And, I think there's a link on our website to yours.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
So that's an incentive for people to visit, but we have to motivate them. So I'm gonna be working on that. That's probably something that I can,
Thank you.
now that big night out is over.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be spending a lot of time on that. I'll have more time to.
Is there,
Yes,
is there any other events that Bingham Farms has that are on the calendar that maybe somebody or some resource could be available for something like? What
We
is
used to
your-
come to your family festival in
Yeah.
August, but that's not happening anymore.
No, we had that twice, 2 consecutive years.
Is there other, I mean, like the parade for Beverly Hills, or you don't have any?
The problem, this is the problem. The facts are that we have 1,100 residents. And the majority are 65 and older. We did have a family move in. They had a 2-year-old and she had a baby last December. That's like the youngest of that. And then they have a fire and a lot of smoke damage and they're out of their house for a year. I know. And I didn't even get a chance to hold baby yet. So, and they're delightful couple, they're over in Birmingham, so they're still local there and a temporary residence, but we don't have a lot of young families. We have children, but they're either high school, oh no, she's college, high school and elementary school primarily. We don't have a lot of little ones.
Are a lot of your residents members of Next? Because we're very connected to Next.
More than I imagined, yes. See, I was sort of not doing a lot of outreach before I became active on the board and trustees and going out to these places that offered all these services. So you imagine my surprise when I walked into Next, it was like hundreds of people having such a great time.
Yeah,
Everybody was happy.
yeah.
So as I told them at the board meeting, I'd never seen that many happy old people in one spot, but it was wonderful. You know, and so I think that as I meet more and more people, they're telling me about what they like about Next, what they do. You know, the day trips, going down to the Detroit Symphony or going to the DIA. They won't drive down, but they'll get on our bus and go down, so they don't have to park, they can be let off at the door. It's ideal. But you know, it's a matter of how do we get people interested in their community to be involved? And the other thing I'd like to do is, you mentioned you need volunteers, is put that on our website. And what I should do is email, I don't know who to email.
Perfect.
Jacqueline?
Yep.
Jacqueline. Maybe you can write a blurb, I'll email you requesting it, you can email it back and I'll just give it to Ken and see if they'll put that on our website. So one way is to get people involved is to have them volunteer here. Yeah, but we only have 1,100 people, so it's not, you know, Beverly Hills has a lot more.
45, yeah. What about grandkids?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Grandkids?
grandkids.
Yeah,
Mine
A lot
are,
of
I
our-
have 3 in Franklin.
so,
And my daughter-in-law has brought the boys here, and I brought them here. Yeah. I have, and there are others that have them locally, but many of them are in other states, other cities. That I know, grandparents, so.
is there any way we could put perhaps in your city offices, you know, a monthly, they get it, a monthly list of the events that we just, you know, the special events
Missy,
that we
that's
were,
a great idea.
we just
Yeah,
talked about?
yeah, I think we should, if that's something that's not too laborious to produce.
Well, I think they get it already, right?
Oh, they
Don't
do.
they?
We
Did you send
every-
it?
Every month,
Get that,
we send everything to the
yeah, so
contract
they could
community.
just
And we
print it
do,
out.
sorry to interrupt you, we do an electronic newsletter, which you need to sign up for with your email, but then it gets dropped right in your inbox at the end of the month or the next one. So they wouldn't even have to go to the city offices, it would just
Cool.
Be
get
signed up.
delivered
Sign up on your web.
on our website. But we can talk about how to get those links posted on your site.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, is just providing multiple access ports that they can use. Yeah, let's try that. See if that can generate more activity and more involvement. But right now, we're into our 3rd month of road committee advisory group. We've reduced the road cost from 17 million down to about 13 million.
Wow.
So, and that's still too much.
Wow.
So we're working, and that's why everybody's energy is right now focused on how we're gonna pay for that, so.
Mhm.
But I think these are great ideas, and let's start on those, and I'll make an effort with Ken in the office and see what we can do. And I'll look for that list. I did not see it last time I was in, but I'll look for it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks again for all. Oh, yeah.
Now we have phase 3 renovation update by Rebecca that starts on, I think, page 47.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through. Okay, I'll start with the update. Frank mentioned a little bit of this before. We have about 8 to 9 weeks until the entrance is officially opened. And our open house has been rescheduled for September 15th, 2024. There was an issue with the stairs, being non-compliant with the building code. So those have been torn out and they'll be rebuilt and then tiled over in the next, it'll take about 8 to 9 weeks. And that includes concrete settling and curing, tiling, and then ordering the handrails, custom making the handrails, and then installing those. So we were supposed to open this week. So there's been lots of progress. Carpet, paint, the elevator passed state inspection, lighting installation is complete, landscaping is complete, all the windows and millwork is installed. The NanoWall electric system is fully operational. Yeah, the HVAC system, it's installed and tested, and then the sidewalk has been re-poured. So we've made lots of progress, but we can't show it to everyone until June. So I'll just go through some pictures here. This is the new cafe space in progress. These mullions are what Frank requested that we get cleaned up on here, because they look a little dingy compared to all the new stuff. This is our new pod for the vending machines. That'll be a combined snack and beverage machine here. The vestibule went in. There's 2 sets of sliding doors, which will be so nice. You won't have to touch a handle, and it's not too heavy to pull. So that's great. And then the elevator is just inside the front door. And then this is the new ramp, and then with the cafe space to the right here. So it looks so pretty in person. And then this is our checkout desk being installed. So the hold shelves will be right on the back side of it. So you can walk in the front door and walk up or take the elevator up to the main level, check out materials. The hot picks are very close to this. The new nonfiction is close. There'll be some self-checks and then staff there. Outside, the NanoWall is going in. We're waiting for the locking mechanism on that, but that'll be ready by the end of the month. And then the landscape bed was planted on Friday, planted and mulched. The sign went in over the front entrance. So that's exciting to see. We have a name again. And the terrace is in. So we've got right below the youth room windows, there's landscaping, and then there's a full bench, the width of the youth room. And then the Siberian ram sculpture, there's benches on 2 sides of that. We have 6 tables and 24 chairs, and then 3 large umbrellas going in. This is the new stair tile we're picking. You can't really see it, which is good because it matches the concrete that it's going over. And then this is a sorter room from the adult services wing. So that installation started last week, and they have to come back at the end of the month to finish that up. And there's the door to the sorter room, and then the hot picks are going on the window wall right outside the sorter room. And you can see the sorter room. To the left of this photo is the elevator, and then this will be standing up with the new checkout desk. And this is the new checkout desk. So there's a standing station, a sitting station, and then a 3rd station in the back for overflow if we need it. And then this is another view with the NanoWall open. It opens quietly, so quiet and so smoothly. It's really beautiful. And then our cafe furniture arrived last week, so we'll be assembling that soon. Here is the cafe counter installed. And then here's another view of the cafe counter and the sink there.
What'll be on that exactly?
That'll be a bean to cup coffee machine. So you can make lattes, espressos, and other.
When does that get installed?
In June,
In June?
yeah,
When, okay.
when we open the
And
space.
vending then goes in June?
Yeah. Our new elevator on the ground level. And then the new book drop, funny, not funny story. Even though the entrance to the library is barricaded, someone did manage to get past the barricade and return their items into the slab.
Oh, my.
So we've covered it with plywood, so.
Stop signs that they're not being.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right? And then we've got the shades pulled, so you can't see in the space to deter people. Those shades are all electric and there's a new hornbeam tree that was planted. And that's it for now. And then I did include some pictures of the new staircase, just for reference. So it's an even, and these are, I'm sorry, they're sideways, but it's an even 10 steps with a railing in between, so no landing. There'll be deeper steps, it's not shallower. Shorter and deeper steps, yes. And then a side view of that, which is all even here. Any questions?
Might something totally unrelated to the steps, but how is the lighting? Because it seemed really nice when the time we came in, but it was still light out.
The lighting is nice.
So you're happy with it?
Yeah, and then it's on dimmers also.
Oh,
And then it's on 2 programs. So there's like a front end, like a stairway lighting system, and then there's a cafe lighting system. So it looks pretty. And they started turning the lights off at night to save electricity. So when you drive by the library, you won't see it illuminated, which looks beautiful when it is illuminated. So,
the lighting looked really nice, of the circulation does,
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
really pretty.
Thank you. A lot of detail, I like all the pictures. And next up is new miscellaneous business, a discussion of the formation of a development subcommittee of the library board. At the February board meeting, a motion was made to have a discussion about the development committee at the April board meeting. So pages 80 to 81. And I think there was also something, a handout that Rebecca passed out to the beginning of the meeting today. That outlines to go, and then Wendy has her explanation on it too. So Rebecca, you
Yeah.
wanna start?
So at the February meeting, Wendy asked the board to consider establishing a development subcommittee, and the board voted for that. And then she requested that we discuss this at the April meeting, which is tonight. So I pulled together some background information to help your discussion here. And then at the end of your discussion, there's 3 possible options. The first is you can postpone making a decision on whether to add a development subcommittee for a future date to be decided. You could vote yes to establish a development subcommittee, or you could vote no to not add a development subcommittee. So those are 3 options that you can discuss and decide. So the library right now has an operating budget of a little bit over $5 million, which mostly comes from municipal taxes. And then we supplement our budget with donations from the Friends of the Baldwin Public Library, and then donations to the library's trust. The library has a trust that has 28 named endowment funds. And right now the value of the trust is about $2.3 million. And then every May, so that will be next month, the board will vote to decide whether or not to withdraw interest earnings from the trust. And typically that's about $60,000 each year. In the last 7 years, the library's received $1.168 million in donations to the trust. And this includes donations from the Friends of the Library and then other donations to the library. The library does have several longstanding repeat donors, and then a handful of residents who recognize the library in their estate planning. So I asked fellow library directors in Southeast Michigan if they have, if their library boards operate a development or fundraising subcommittee meeting, and I received 3 answers. The first one has a fundraising committee that develops an annual appeal letter that's mailed to all residents. They actually discontinued mailing this because the amount of money spent on postage and printing equaled the amount that they received in donations. And then the second one has a development committee that plans milestone anniversary parties. It last met for the library's 50th anniversary, and it's planning the library's 60th anniversary this year. And this library in particular, because it receives generous donations, the board doesn't have a strong need to regularly solicit for funds. And then the third library has an events and marketing and fundraising committee that meets monthly. And they work on updating the library's marketing plan based on their strategic plan. And they are currently working on reviewing and updating their donation brochure. And then they're now looking at ways to invite large companies and organizations to be corporate sponsors. So that's what I pulled together. And then Wendy had rationale that she wanted to share too.
So, yeah, it's, I guess a better readout is on the new handout, but basically we know that we provide great facilities and great collections and services and programs and staff, and we enrich everyone's life and everyone loves the library. There's no doubt about it. But we also face that it's a fast.
May I have your attention, please? The time is 8:45 and the library closes in 15 minutes.
You know, it's a fast paced changing world, and we don't know what the next trend is going to be yet. We are, you know, trying to stay on top of it, and but we never know where we might decide we want to splurge. In my opinion, there's always things that will be on our wish list. Some of them would be small and easy to fulfill, and others might be, you know, just pie in the sky wish. Can I tell you pie in the
Yeah.
sky? Like an underground garage. I mean, you know, anything's possible. The way our library is established, we could rent an annex building, we could buy a building, we could, you know, I mean, who knows what the future will be. So I'm looking at this more from a future, not necessarily like, are we able to meet every need now, but just hearing how popular we are and how it's hard to squeeze everybody in from the programs makes me think that at some point we will have to expand. And I believe that it takes a really long time to establish a development / fundraising committee. We also have the challenge that we want to have more outreach. We want to be more connected to the community, to businesses and corporations that could sponsor us should we decide to have signature events that, you know, would not put any taxing on our staff. Those would be run separately by the committee. Of course, the board would have the ultimate say what, you know, what a committee would do, just like any of our committees. But after talking to Rebecca, I realized that it's probably a great idea to do, just since I've just begun my outreach for the library, to actually spend a little more time developing some relationships, because really fundraising is about relationship building and, you know, putting lists of connections together and figuring out where we're strong and who would want to be on this committee, which, by the way, I keep looking over at Rindy. This would not, you know, in any way take away from Friends. In fact, we could collaborate with Friends on things. So, you know, that, again, those are things that are up to the committee and then ultimately the board, in my, you know, my thoughts. So I thought that it would be a good idea to do a little more research and make some more connections and come back and have another discussion at some point in the future, and postpone the vote, which is one of the things we could do. But I'm happy to answer any questions that I can, or have a discussion tonight and again another time.
You know,
What's everyone thinking?
I think we had a very successful fundraiser for phase 2 for the youth room, where Missy and,
Oh, yeah.
in the group, we had it at, Rivage Spa or.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Or-
Rivage Spa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was very successful because it gets people emotional, connected and so forth. And if you look, I think at the great list of what Rebecca put together about how generous our residents are donating and including us part of, their estate planning, we've been very beneficial.
Absolutely.
Prior to the building getting in hand too, we also had our annual Books and Bites, which was a huge success that we're gonna bring back, eventually.
Was that a fundraiser?
It was a fundraiser, strictly a fundraiser where we had, all the tables were set up by different restaurants, all donated food from those restaurants. And then we had wine, and Jenny had a very successful wine tasting event where everybody they're able to utilize the Idea Lab and so forth. So I think
We
we've
had a
been,
specific purpose for these fundraisers.
yes.
Right.
Oh, you always do.
Yeah, so I think we're doing a really good job right now, and as you alluded to earlier, to fundraise for bigger items and so forth takes time for relationship building, and I think
Absolutely.
what you said, maybe table it and to build those relationships more and bring it back to the board would make more sense at this time, and that's my opinion.
Postpone.
Post-
Yes,
That
I
would be
think,
a good idea.
having a special purpose for the development, having a goal in mind is key to, a specific goal, not. So the things that are coming up, I can say right offhand, it's gonna go like this, our 100th anniversary is coming up in
Never-
27.
I thought we already passed 100.
No,
Oh, this building, okay, because from our founding, we're like at 117 or something.
well, 1927.
1927. Don't we count it from 1927?
Yeah,
Yes,
from the building.
from the
For the
building.
building,
Okay.
this building.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, so that's something that I
Yeah.
think we would want to do a big
Something.
development or whatever. I hope we don't get into the appeal letter
Oh, no.
each year. I think that's
Mm.
over and done.
Agreed.
And I think that now that we're getting to the end, you haven't been on this, but Frank has, and I've been there for most of it, and others have been there for part of it. To come to the end of this cycle for the building is just a huge, let's just take a minute, because it has involved, lots of tax dollars from the public, and I just feel like 3 times we've gone out there and said, we're gonna do another thing, and so I'd like it to be, this is my opinion, just calm for a little while at least. So, we've got the opening. I think that's a big thing that we wanna show
I
and tell
agree.
everything.
So, yeah.
But I think we will need a development committee at some time. And I think, when we, organize it, we should have a firm goal, as you mentioned.
Oh,
a
absolutely.
Firm, thing that because people, respond much better. The reason I think we were so successful with that big event we had at Rivage is that we were doing a major identified, the children's, I mean,
Absolutely.
who.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that. So, I think that that's the way to go. I did want to say to, Jenny, every time we talk about Books and Bites, which I don't know how many we had, but I think we started in 2011,
Mhm.
maybe.
I think that's-
But the most popular by far, every time I mention it, they always say the wine event. They want the wine event back. They love that. They love the wine event.
Off
So,
premises.
No,
No,
it's on premise.
No, I know.
It's on
yeah.
premise.
But we can't have it in our new beautiful building.
Why not?
Yeah, why
Well, I
not?
guess we could, but.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
Oh,
most of
yeah.
it was in Burger's right after.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So anyways, but, and I've been, a resident here for over 40 years, unbelievably. I've worked in development at, different, private schools and different organizations, and, it takes a lot of energy.
Definitely.
And I think right now, it's a little bit, respite time before we start in again, but
I
that's
agree.
just me.
I think that, Rebecca hasn't had a normal year here.
Yeah, right.
As a director, since she started as director.
Right.
So, and I know that these building efforts have taken a lot of time and a lot of patience, and I think that, like Missy said, just kind of keeping it, getting through this. getting
Yeah.
through what
Get
we're
back to the
getting through.
basics.
Year, right? Having a full year, and then, I'm not necessarily opposed to a development committee, but I think a purpose to one,
Oh, of course.
and, so maybe in the future is
Yeah.
my thought process.
I agree. So that's what I'm proposing by postponing the vote and that we just keep the discussion open and we decide to have it at another time. 6 months from now, 7 months from now, a year from now.
I'm just wondering if we don't have like a set time when we're going to revisit it, at this point, should we just look at maybe voting no for now and then deciding to discuss it at a future time, so it's not just kind of lingering open?
Well, I have a couple of questions too, because for example, an appeal letter does go out by Friends, so you don't have another appeal
No,
letter.
Right.
definitely not. That would never.
Right.
The other thing is, as Frank said, we've been, and everybody has said, we just had the renovation and it's inconvenient and taxpayers cover that. So now's not the time to say, hey, everybody, we need more money, where it appears kind of greedy.
Right.
And once you leave patrons with a negative view, it is very hard to undo that.
I agree.
So as far as timing, the other thing is, do you need a development committee? What does outreach committee do? Wouldn't that be some of what outreach
Well-
committee does? Let me finish, and then you can vote. The other thing is, why have a development committee? Why not have, if you're gonna do a fundraiser, have a short-term ad hoc development committee
Right.
that specifically is for
I think
that fundraiser, and once the fundraiser's over, goodbye development committee.
That's a good
So-
idea too.
I guess there are a couple of different ways
Yeah.
to look at it. So I kind of
Yeah.
like Jenny's idea of postponing it, I don't know. Just saying
Until we're ready to talk
that,
about it.
Yeah. Till we're ready.
or voting that there's no development committee. And then the next time it comes up, somebody would have to make another motion to say, want to consider the development
It's-
committee. Anyway, and I also have one more thing.
Either way.
I've lived in Birmingham 60 years. I shouldn't admit this, but I have.
No.
When I came here, I lived in Beverly Hills and I had to walk to one school and be bused to another school because Beverly School was so crowded. Then, a few years later, all those schools started closing up. And there's a school now at 13 in Evergreen, that's a nursing center. That was built while I was here. So the population changes, but I don't, and Birmingham schools is down. It's not going up. So yes, you might have a lot of people coming to these story times. By the way, the one I went to in Chicago with my granddaughter, you had to sign up in advance. You didn't just show up and stand in line. You had to have your ticket, your name on the list.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is the idea of having an annex when Birmingham is not like expanding scares me. That idea scares me. That's a lot of money to put an annex, supply, staff.
That was just a throwing out like something that we aren't even imagining right now.
Okay,
That was not something on my even. Yeah,
okay. Anyway, those are my comments.
that was like saying an underground garage.
Yeah, I think something, and it was brought up, that might be on the radar for the board in the future, if it's budgetable, is to put a full generator on this building. I know the city hall has it, and I know it's expensive, but it could also be used as a warming, if electricity went out or whatnot, that you could, have for patrons and people could, have that would be a good investment, and that would be something to fundraise possibly for, even though people, at least you know that people would be safe, and I think we had a warming shelter just 2 years ago, when Beverly Hills was Beverly Hills down?
Beverly Hills and Beverly, yeah.
And Fort Lake, right?
And Bloomfield.
And Bloomfield.
Mhm.
So, that was a valuable resource to have it open, so that could be something that could pull people's heartstrings and say, yeah, I wanna
Yes.
something, here's a purpose that's gonna benefit the whole community if we could raise that kind of money or whatever, but that's just something,
They're expensive.
it would be $250,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very expensive,
Are 9:30 a.m. Thank you and good night.
but I agree with Karen and Anna.
Well, I think we're all in agreement, so.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion?
Sure.
So I'd like to make a motion to not establish a development subcommittee at this time, decide, just to not to establish it as a development subcommittee at this time. I'll second that.
I'll vote for it.
You specified already.
Okay. All right, so any board comments on the motion? Any public comments on the motion? So, let's do a hand vote, all in favor?
I,
Motion passed. Okay, unfinished business, no unfinished business. And no items were removed from the consent agenda. The next regular meeting of the library board will take place on Monday, May 20th at 7:30. We have a motion for each other.
How much in your there?
Second,
Robert, could you call a roll call vote?
Rob,
Yes.
Rumpel,
Yes.
Mark,
yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Paisano,
yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
all yeas to adjourn.
Okay, moving on to the trust meeting on page 108. Hello and welcome to the Baldwin Public Trust Meeting in the Baldwin Boardroom on Monday, April 15th, 2024. Robert, would you please call the roll call for tonight's meeting?
Karen Robb,
Here.
Daniel Rumpel,
Here.
Misty Mark,
Here,
Wendy Friedman,
Here.
Frank Paisano.
Here.
Jenny Wheeler.
Here.
Thanks, Robert. Our first order of business is the general public comment period. The library board values public meetings and welcomes your comments on library issues. The board respectfully asks that comments be made as concisely as possible. We welcome your comments, but will not debate items not on the agenda. The maximum time for individual speakers should not exceed 3 minutes. And are there any general public comments? I don't know if anybody's on Zoom.
Sheila Bliss is on, but I don't think she has a comment.
Okay. Our next order of business is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general business and considered as the last item under new business. So the consent agenda, the approval of the March 18th, 2024 minutes on page 109. Acceptance of the March 2024 receipts of $6,724.87 on page 116. And approval of the March 2024 disbursements of $25,287.31 on page 117. Is there any board member who would like to remove an item from the consent agenda? And any member of the public who would like to remove an item? Would anyone like to move to approve the consent agenda?
A motion to approve consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great, thank you. Robert, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Rob,
Yes.
Rumpel,
Yes.
Mark,
yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Paisano,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
all yeas.
New and miscellaneous business, there is not any.
Usually in the quarter, we comment on the market, performance, and it's tracking okay. I think, compared to the benchmark, and I don't know, with the certain economic data that's been coming out recently, the markets were expecting some rate cuts from the Fed this year, but with the higher economic numbers coming in, it just looks like that we're not going to see the cuts as expected. So brace for some volatility in the markets because they priced that in October. Once the Federal Reserve Board decided to pause on interest rates, but with the numbers coming in hotter than anticipated, and the markets anticipating that, they might have a temper tantrum right now because they're not going to get what they want with lower rates earlier. So rates will stay higher for longer, we think, a little bit stickier with this economic condition and also geopolitical risks out there that could cause uncertainty in the markets, and the markets does not like uncertainty. So just a heads up on that.
Yeah, thank you. The next trustee meeting will be held immediately following the next regular board meeting on Monday, May 20th. Can we have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
A motion.
A second.
Thank you. Robert, would you please call roll call vote?
Rock,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Friedman, or
Yes.
Mark. Your
Yes.
sister, Friedman,
Yes.
Pisano.
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
all yeas to adjourn.
Thank you so much.